Welcome to the Spa Hive podcast. We're your hosts, Julie Pankey
and Marianne Sassine, spa leaders, business strategists, and business besties who are pulling back the curtain on what it actually takes to grow a business and a life you don't secretly want to escape from.
This is where leadership meets honesty, where revenue meets relationships, and where we talk about the things no one puts on Instagram.
So, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a high achiever who's building something meaningful, but also navigating team dynamics, burnout, boundaries, and big goals, you're in the right place.
No highlight reels, no sugarcoating, just real conversations, practical strategy, and a little laughter along the way. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to our Spa Hive Business Besties podcast. This morning, I'm here live with my business bestie, Marianne. Good morning, Marianne.
Good morning, Julie. Good morning to our listeners. Julie, how are you doing this morning?
I'm pretty good.
Pretty good, liar.
You know, it's a tough season. It's a tough season here in New England. You know, it's beautiful weather. You want to enjoy your time that you have, the limited time that us New Englanders have beautiful weather. We want to enjoy doing the fun things. But alas, we also have jobs to do. And our jobs are generally just as busy as our lives are. So it's a lot of busy. There's a lot of people up here. There's a lot of people driving around. There's a lot of people taking up space in the spaces that we like to visit. And there's lines to get into restaurants, and team members, they want to enjoy the summer too, but alas, they also have to work.
You're coming off a holiday weekend, so that's always busy. And I'm surprised it's as busy as normal. Travel has slowed down a little bit because of astronomical gas prices.
It has not slowed down in New England. I am here
Well,
to tell
you know what? It's because you all probably have electric cars. I'm happy for you. But
No.
down here,
And our gas is like the most expensive on the East Coast up here in New England.
paying a whole mortgage just to get to Maine. Well, you know what? What I have to say to you is toughen up, Buttercup. Just joking. No.
I'm going to start taking the train.
Ooh, now that's a fun idea. I like a good
But
train
now,
trip.
if anybody listens to our podcast that has any connections to Amtrak in the Downeaster, you need to expand your schedules. If people are struggling with gas prices, they could come to Maine More from Boston for like $20 on the train.
That's amazing.
If you had expanded schedules, just saying. I could commute on a regular basis if I didn't have to leave at 1:30 p.m. Otherwise, wait until 7 p.m.
Oh, yeah, that's a limited schedule.
Expand your schedules, Amtrak.
All right, Amtrak.
We support public transportation here at the Spa Hive.
We absolutely do. Do trains, they don't run on gas? No.
I don't know what they run on.
I don't know.
I mean, the
Planes do.
Acela, I think, runs on electricity.
No, not all electricity.
Well,
You
it
can't go
runs.
that fast.
Mm-hmm. The Acela is an electric.
You know, I don't know about electric cars or I guess electric trains.
Yeah, the Acela is a high-speed, all-electric passenger train, and it only operates at high speeds, you know, between certain points. I think between
Yes.
Boston and New York,
Yeah, when
and
it can get
then
going.
maybe New York and Philadelphia, and then Philadelphia and DC. But then I know when it gets to like certain points, then it starts to, you know, it has more stops.
Yeah, so it's
So
gotta
then
slow
it's
down.
not like cruising, but I think that thing cruises at like 160 miles an hour.
Well, that's the way to do it.
The Downeaster, though, is not.
It's not the SLO.
No, no, no. No, there's too many stops too between. Well, it says diesel electric. The Downeaster is a diesel electric locomotive.
Diesel. Okay.
Diesel slash electric. So,
Yeah, makes sense. Huh.
but I never charge
Alright.
it, so it's all gas.
Yeah.
I don't know how to charge it. I need somebody to help me figure it out. Every time I go to try to charge it, I do it wrong and it doesn't work.
Yeah, I remember when I was renting a car, I don't know, maybe in the last 15 years, but they were like, "Do you we have an electric car. Do you want an electric car?" And I was like, "No. No, no. Nope. I don't understand how that works. No, no. No, no.
Right.
Just need gas."
I need to learn how to do it because, there's some
I get it.
places I could charge it and maybe save a little cash on gas,
Well,
but
that's true in your case, right?
they do charge you to charge it. So I don't know. How much does
Do
that
they?
cost? Yes, you have to put your credit card right into those chargers.
I thought it was free this whole time.
No.
Huh.
No. Elon Musk is making some money.
Yeah, like he needs more. All right, so what are we talking about today?
So today we're not talking about trains, planes, and automobiles. We're talking about, would you book your own business?
Mm,
So, 5-step online present audit we're going to do for you today. People decide, just like when you see people, right? And how many seconds? I think, what is it? 3 seconds, 5 seconds? Automatically, when you meet someone, they've already judged you in some way. They've made the assumption of like who you are and what you're about in like the first however many seconds. Well, it's the same for your business. So
yeah.
people decide how they feel about their business before they even call you on the phone. They've already formed an opinion based on your online presence. And that's the modern current day that we're in now because people are going to Google a business, generally from their phone,
Right.
and they want to get their nails done. They want a dog walker, they want a mason to build a wall at their house. They want a new haircut. You're in a different city and you want to get a blowout. And so, you're going to look up, blowout Cleveland, Ohio, or blowout Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out to our friends in Ohio. And so the scary thing is that most business owners have absolutely no idea what their business is quietly communicating online. So today we're going to break it down. We're going to be brutally honest with this very real audit. And I want you to ask yourself, would you book your own business based on your online presence?
Mm,
And I'm talking about Facebook. I'm talking about Instagram. I'm talking about possibly Pinterest. I'm talking about TikTok. I am then talking about first and foremost your website.
right.
Because think about who your audience is. And, your audience may be, people of my age, the Gen Xers,
Mm-hmm.
and they may be on Instagram and Facebook, right? That's
Yeah.
that's their social. Your audience may be Gen Z who cannot get their faces out of TikTok.
Right.
And you may be targeting Marianne, so you better have some Reddit content.
Well, if you're targeting me, I'm gonna need a website. I still enjoy a good website. I mean, and for me as a millennial, I do all my important business. It has to be on a big screen. I can't do anything on my phone that's in like booking tickets to something. Nope, can't do it on my phone. barely could I maybe book an appointment on my phone. I have to do it on the big screen, which is, I think, something different because, Julie, you do a lot of stuff like that on your phone,
Oh,
and you
yeah,
have
my
no.
phone screen time could be, like, 8 hours a day.
Oh, yeah, mine still is, but then if you looked at what my computer was too, it's probably up there as well.
And
So,
I barely crack this baby open all day long.
yeah, that's true, but if you're, at a site or something, you're using probably a work computer.
Yes.
So, okay, let's talk about it. Our 5-step audit. Start with step 1. Does your business feel active? Do you have dead links, right? Do you have inactive Facebook pages, old promotions? Like if your Facebook page, the last time you posted was like in 2023, I am questioning what's happening. And I think you
Right.
should
Like your
probably just
last
take it down.
post right, your last post was like, "Happy Valentine's Day." You know,
Yeah.
here's our Valentine's Day special. And,
Yeah.
now we should be, like, promoting summer fun.
Right. Old promotions, outdated websites, if you have a stale Instagram, those are all things that are going to look like your business is inactive, right? And I just feel like nowadays there are so many tools that you can use. Let's say your audience is on Facebook. There's so many tools that you can use to put your posts on Instagram without any extra work, right? Like it
Right, right.
automatically generated there. But also, if your business isn't like doesn't have a TikTok audience, don't go on TikTok. Don't put yourself on
Absolutely.
TikTok. What's the
Ye
point, right?
right. And I think, I mean, we say this in all things, but consistency is key, right? So if you can only commit to one social platform, I would suggest probably starting with Facebook and Instagram. They're essentially the same monster. So you can post automatically from one to the other, and that at least gives you like a presence. So if you can only commit to one thing, start to that one thing, but do that thing consistently. If all your people are on TikTok and that's who you want to attract, then spend your time on TikTok. And I think Pinterest is underserved as well because Pinterest acts as a search engine just like Google, but we use tools. I think we use Repurpose
Yes.
um, that will repurpose your content from Instagram, for example, to TikTok because I don't have time to be creating separate content for all social platforms as well. And so we repurpose onto TikTok and to Pinterest because Pinterest is really fantastic, and I think people forget about when you're searching things, Pinterest will come up because it's a very strong search engine.
Right.
So let's not forget about that. But people associate inactive businesses with you not being successful, with you being short staffed, with you being maybe disorganized or having inconsistent service. Like I'll go online and be like, oh my God, they haven't posted since March. I don't know about these guys. And then I'll search some others because I automatically think that, you're not a busy, booming business,
Yeah.
if you're not doing all the things that display, an excellent business.
Right. And I think, we're talking a fair amount about social media, but I think it also expands over to your website too. Like,
Right.
I personally feel like in today's day and age, there's really, unless you're a very specific type of business, right? Like maybe dog walkers or you're solo like crafter, or I'm just saying very specific type of business, you need a website. Okay, just can you get a website? There's no reason There are so many website platforms that are plug and play now that you don't need to be a graphic designer or a website developer to have a website anymore. Like, that's not how it works, especially for these smaller businesses. And I would say the number one thing that annoys me is when I go onto a business's website and you can tell that their mobile version and their web version, so like their mobile and their computer version, are not the same. And, like, on
Mhm.
their mobile version, the spacing is off. There's things that you can't read. It's not readable because they didn't take the time to make sure that the mobile version is usable, which your mobile version most likely is going to be where people go to the most, unless if
Right.
they're me. If they're me, I'm on my computer. But for the most time, people are using the mobile version. So make sure your mobile version doesn't look like a kindergartner did it.
Right. And normally on these platforms, GoDaddy, Wix, it's a click of a button
Yeah, it's a click of a button to
to
toggle
make
over
it
and make
mobile
sure
friendly. Right.
you don't look like a ding dong. And I would say, like, oh, don't make it look like a middle schooler did it, but honestly, they can probably do it better than any of us can.
Oh my gosh, 100%.
So, just make sure your business feels active. If there's anything out there that you need to clean up the links, the how you get in contact with you, just take the time to do it. Step 2 is, does your business feel human? Now, this is a big topic these days, right? And this is where our AI is going to come in. Because if I see one AI generated flyer that looks like the next AI generated flyer for something, I'm going to lose my mind. It's all the same. It's
I
all the
will
same.
say that I have mastered generating AI graphic design in like flyers and things. So, work at it, because
Yes.
the first few times, geez, the first 100 times, it's gonna look like, I want to say a kindergartner did it, but, I think that, my grandkids could for sure do a better job. So it's gonna look like my mom did it, that doesn't have any computer skills whatsoever. And also, I mean, AI is becoming increasingly more obvious. So, don't send me an email. I had a guest that was complaining about a service and she used ChatGPT to write her response and she copy and pasted the whole thing, but left at the bottom, it says, would you like to soften the tone or make it seem a little firmer? And I was like, girl, you just lost all credibility on this
Yeah.
email.
Like, I
I just
use
laughed.
I would too. I use AI as much as the next person, and I totally understand it, but you can tell. Like, as I mean, I maybe it's only my feed. I doubt it though, but my feed is filled with the same bright, slightly oversaturated type of marketing that's all like with the text kind of lopsided, and it's a little like childish but
Yeah, yeah.
has way too much wording on it. It's all AI and it's driving me nuts. There was this article out of Vogue that was talking about, will AI kill creator economy? I mean, I think it's killing the copywriter economy, definitely.
I know we
But
don't need George as much to read our content, right?
I know, right? Because I shove it through AI and I make sure I spelt everything correct because most likely I didn't. So recent reports show audiences increasingly distrust overly engineered or AI heavy content and are gravitating toward creators and brands that feel more human and authentic.
Right, right.
I think that's what's happening because I think like you were saying, like, you can use all the different platforms to make your promotion material, your images, whatever you want, but you really have to fine tune it. If you're going to use like a chat GPT or a copilot or what, all the other ones out there,
Right.
you really need to take the time to edit and tweak it. And sometimes it's easier for you to just design it yourself at that point. Um,
I know Gary just recently shared an article with me, and it's some research from MIT. And I know I'm not usually the one that comes in with our research and data on
mm,
our podcast, but
so tell me.
from MIT and Oxford that revealed that relying heavily on AI for problem solving can cause cognitive offloading, making your brain lazy and weakening your foundational skills. However, using AI as a collaborator can amplify critical thinking and problem solving. So it comes down to, hi, AI, I don't feel like thinking, so write this treatment menu for me, or, write a job description for me versus, hey, this is the treatment menu, this is my treatment description, what do we think about it? And, AI gives you suggestions of tweaks that maybe you take or you don't take.
Right. So I think a good rule of thumb is that if your conversations with AI are, hey, create this email that says this, and then you don't ever give it any edits, I think that's your issue, right? Because I mean, you should see my chat GPT. Like, yes, it does get used, but I'm always giving it feedback and I'm always telling it, I need it to sound more like this. I need it to sound more like that. I need you to take this out. That doesn't sound right. So yeah, if your conversations with AI is not long and in depth, I think that's your problem because you're not giving it enough prompts and you're not giving enough editing to actually sound like what your business sounds like. It can using too much of AI, it can give over polished branding, generic wording, and a lot of stock content. If you're promoting like the inside of your business, can you please stop using stock content? It drives me nuts.
Right.
Nothing these days, when I'm scrolling, nothing is catching my eye or making me stop scrolling because it's all starting to look very similar. So just be very careful making sure your business feels more human. That also goes with the amount of stock images you use on your website too. That's always sort of a red flag when you're like, that's not who works there, or that's not what the inside of that business looks
Uh-huh.
like. Step number 3 is your brand clear in 10 seconds? So people should be able to instantly tell what you do or who you help, your vibe, and who you are.
Yes, they should. I
So
mean,
it's mhm.
brands that are confusing, don't connect with people. People should not have to investigate your business like a detective to figure out what you're about. And if I land on your page and still don't know what you actually do in 10 seconds, we've got a problem. And back to the dog walkers, right? Most of my dog walkers, they do it as a second job, right? A part-time
Yeah.
gig. However, it would be really nice for you to have a one-page landing page that costs almost no money to do. That's an about you, right? With some pictures with you with the dogs and what you do, what's your process. Many dog walkers have options, right? So it's a 30-minute dog walk, a 1 hour dog walk, a dog hike, which usually I opt for, back with Bronx.
Yeah.
He likes to be off leash on a hike with not a lot of
Right.
people. He doesn't want to be walking down a sidewalk in Bath, Maine, right?
Mhm.
or anywhere in America that
Sure.
he's traveled, does he want to walk down the sidewalk of a main street? And what's your overnights like? Do you come, maybe you can come 2 times a day, you can come 3 times a day, you do an overnight, you take them to your house, you stay at the customer's house, like just very basic information, and some of your credentials, right? So, how is my dog going to feel safe, or how am I going to feel safe,
Right.
with you taking care of my dog? And it honestly would be so quick. And it would set you apart from every other dog walker that immediately I'm going to be like, okay, this person's legit.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it'll take off some of the time for
Like,
your what am I
first
trying to s
meeting.
yeah, like your client acquisition, which is not correct. But, it takes some time off of all that trying to contact them and getting the information. You obviously don't say, "Here's my website, here's everything you need to know, let me know when you need me." But
Right.
you don't say something like that, but you can say, here's a little bit more information. Happy to answer any questions and some other type of question about themselves. Right.
Right.
And if you're a solo business, I think that would really be a time saver, actually.
Yes.
Right.
Because I've already
Mm.
learned a little bit about you before I talk to you.
Right. Exactly. So they don't need to go through the whole spiel about that. So, let's move on to step number 4 is, does your online presence match your real experience? So, this would include a luxury mismatch, which I like that term because,
Mhm.
if someone's going to, let's use a nail salon, right? Because most people are accustomed to a nail salon. If you're going to a nail salon, is it either your strip mall nail salon, which there's nothing wrong with those, I go to them all the time, or are you going to more of a spa that does nail treatments too, right? And it's important for clients to know what they're walking into.
Right.
So if your strip mall nail salon images on either their social media or on their website don't match the amount of luxury a client is going to have when they walk in, that's a potential problem.
Right.
Using outdated photos, if you recently did a renovation, you please remember to update your photos.
And I do think that, I personally, like, if I'm choosing a new place, I do look at the pictures,
Yeah.
because I want to feel like what the vibe is, right? Are there 10 pedicure chairs in a row? Do I feel like that vibe, or
Yeah.
do I like 2 pedicure chairs? Um, and if you're using stock images and I show up at your place, me and all of America, they're going to be like, "What? You duped me. Like, this isn't your
Absolutely.
place. This isn't what I was thinking." And then, make sure, like, what's important to you, what you're about. Like, I always try to think about, I would say to business owners, there could be 5 spas up the street and around the corner from you, 5
Mhm.
nail salons, whatever, 5 dog walkers that you're competing with. What sets you apart? Like, what
Right.
are the things? And that's what you should highlight. So, are you a warm, like, thoughtful, inviting business that focuses on personal care, customization, high touch? People should feel that before they arrive. And if you're not, there's nothing wrong with that, but people should feel before they come what you're about.
Yeah, we're in a day and age where people want as much information as they can before they walk into a place. So you really need to try to translate that online, whether
Uh-huh.
that's your website or social media. Making sure people have a good idea of what they're going to walk into. Also, inconsistent branding, right? So, if all of your branding looks a certain way, and then you pop up an AI generated image that doesn't have your colors that you normally use, or maybe your font that you normally use.
Uh-huh.
It's like an eyesore. Honestly, you're just like, what happened here? They're trying something new, or they got a new
Right.
marketing girl. Like, what happened?
Right, right, exactly. Like if you're at a spot, like your business is, all like earth tones, right?
Yeah,
Blues and browns and beiges and a little bit of peach. And your online marketing is like bright pink, chartreuse. You're like, whoa, wait, what is this? Like, what are you trying to portray? Like, are you fun? And high energy, like,
right,
is that the, type of business that you wanna portray? Or are you, like I talked about a few minutes ago, like, warm, elevated, a little bit more high touch luxury? Um, what is the vibe, right, that you want people to feel from the minute they learn about your business?
right. Absolutely. Julie, maybe we should start making your social media hot pink and cheetah print.
Well,
It'd be
Danielle
kind of
would like
fun.
that.
I think it'd be kind of fun.
I
Let's
wonder
put
if
you in
people
cheetah.
I wonder if people would notice.
I
Like,
think
people
some,
would
yeah.
be like,
Whoa,
"What's going on with Julie?"
Julie's gone off the deep end.
We should try it, see if anybody notices. See if I
Yeah,
get
right?
any text messages.
And be like, what happened here? I love it. Let's do it.
Step
And
5?
yeah, so step 5 is, would you trust this business? So you need to really ask yourself, would you book here? Would you feel comfortable spending money here? Does it feel current? Does it feel warm? Does it feel trustworthy?
And forget being emotionally attached to your business. Like, "Oh my god, yes, of course, my business is all that." But look with a critical eye.
Yeah, and I think
Because a lot of times, like, if you look as a consumer, as your customer instead of the business owner, you'd be surprised what pops up.
absolutely. And maybe this is a fun exercise, if you have a business bestie or you've got a friend that maybe has a business but's not in your industry, which is even better. And having, you guys do this exercise together, but on each other. I think that's really helpful. I know when we have help spas in the past, sometimes we'd be like, okay, well, let's talk to someone that is quote unquote like a regular person. Like, if my sisters were to read this spa menu,
Uh-huh.
would they feel like they could go to this spa? Someone that's your target audience.
Mhm.
See if you can seek out someone to give you some real life advice, because you might just be missing it, right?
Right.
You look at your stuff all day, every day, and sometimes it's the really simple changes, you know, on your online presence that can make a big difference.
Exactly. And, you may be living it every single day, so it's hard to be objective, but a consumer sees everything. And sometimes it's just like in your business, it's the tiniest, tiniest things that make the biggest difference. We've talked about this in past episodes. It's the smell, right? It's some of the cleanliness touches. Some things that may seem small, but if I'm seeing a artificial plant with dust on it somewhere, immediately I want to gag because I wonder what else is dirty. So it's always the little things, like your bio photo is from like 1990. Like, girl, we know you don't look like that anymore. Update your bio photo, right? And people are
Up
coming in,
your
get their
LinkedIn too.
and your LinkedIn too. And don't over enhance it with AI.
We have a few friends that we know that their headshots are the same ones since like 2002. And you were like, oh my gosh, could you stop? Like, you look great as you are now. Just like, could you give me a real photo? Because
Right, right. And we all age
uh,
and we all hate our photos for the most part, but knowing that the bottom line is that your online presence is either building trust or quietly creating hesitation. But the good news is most of these problems are fixable in a day.
They're fixable
Like,
so quickly.
not big problems, right? You just need to, go through your content and figure out, what I think the bottom line is knowing what you want to portray to your customers.
Yeah,
Why people come to you for whatever it is that you do.
absolutely. And stop using so much AI. Sorry.
Stop using so much AI.
If I see another AI flyer, I'm going to lose it. Well, next week we'll be back, Julie.
We
And next
will.
week we are scooting right into June. So
Can't believe it.
exciting.
So
We can't
exciting.
believe it.
It
Close
goes
us
by
out.
so fast. I feel like it should be September last year. Everything just goes by so, 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 so fast, and I can't catch up. I just feel like I can't catch up. I need to catch a break so that I can, catch up and be present in the moment.
Mm.
So we'll look forward to seeing you here next time live in the Spa Hive. Have a good week, everyone. Bye,
Bye,
Miriam.
Julie. Bye, Julie. Bye, listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us today in the Spa Hive.
If this episode sparked an idea, made you think differently, or just made you feel a little less alone in business or life, share it with someone who might need it too.
Don't forget to follow the podcast so you never miss a conversation.
And check out the show notes for links, resources, and ways to stay connected with us, including the Spa 101 course taught by our very own Julie Pinky.
We're so grateful you're part of this community.
And we'll see you next time.